They looked normal. Some were respected doctors, loving parents, war heroes, even celebrities. But behind the smiles, behind the titles, behind the everyday routines, they were living double lives. And the scariest part? The people closest to them had absolutely no idea. This is the story of people who lived two completely different realities at the same time. By day, they were trusted, admired, even celebrated. By night, they were hiding secrets so dark that if they were exposed, their entire identity would collapse. These aren't movie characters. These are real people, and their stories will make you question how well you really know anyone. Let's start with one of the most chilling cases in modern history. Dennis Rader was a family man. He had a wife, 2 kids, a steady job, and he was even the president of his local church. To his neighbors, Dennis was polite, helpful, and quiet, the kind of man who would mow his lawn every weekend and wave at people as they passed by. No one ever suspected anything strange about him, but at the same time, Dennis Rader was living another life, a life so horrifying that it shocked the entire United States. He was the infamous BTK killer, a serial murderer who terrorized Kansas for decades. BTK stood for bind, torture, kill, the exact method he used on his victims. For nearly 30 years, Dennis lived these two lives perfectly, one as a normal, boring, middle-class man, the other as a sadistic killer who sent letters to the police describing his crimes in detail and even mocking investigators for failing to catch him. He enjoyed the attention, he enjoyed the fear, and he enjoyed knowing that no one around him had any idea who he really was. What makes his story even more disturbing is how normal everything looked. He attended church every Sunday. He helped with community projects. He gave speeches about morality and discipline. Meanwhile, in secret, he kept trophies from his victims hidden inside his house, the same house where his children slept. For decades, he managed to fool everyone, his family, his friends, his co-workers, and even the police. It wasn't until 2005, because of a simple technical mistake, that he was finally caught. And when his identity was revealed, his own daughter said she felt like her entire life had been a lie. Dennis Rader didn't look like a monster. He looked like your neighbor, and that's what makes double lives so terrifying. Sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who blend in perfectly. And Dennis Rader was just one example. There are many more people who lived two lives so different, so shocking, that when the truth came out, the world couldn't believe it. Another man who mastered the art of living a double life was Frank Abagnale Jr. Unlike Dennis Rader, Frank wasn't a killer, but his deception was so extreme that it still feels unreal. By the age of just 21, Frank had successfully pretended to be a Pan Am airline pilot, a doctor in a hospital, and even a lawyer in a U.S. state. He didn't just lie on paper. He walked into real workplaces, wore real uniforms, and performed real jobs without anyone questioning him. To the world, Frank looked confident, intelligent, and professional. People trusted him instantly. He stayed in luxury hotels, flew for free around the world, and cashed millions of fake checks. Banks believed him. Airlines believed him. Hospitals believed him. No one imagined that this successful young professional was actually a teenage con artist running from the FBI. What makes Frank's story so dangerous wasn't violence, it was charm. He understood how people think. He knew that if you look confident enough, speak calmly, and dress the part, most people will never ask questions. His entire second life was built on psychology, not crime scenes. For years, Frank lived as someone else every few months. New name, new job, new city, new identity. He had no permanent home, no real relationships, and no real self, just layers of fake personalities stacked on top of each other. Eventually, he was caught and sent to prison. But his story didn't end there. The same skills he used to deceive the world were later used to help it. After his release, he began working with the FBI, teaching them how to catch fraudsters like himself. In a strange twist, the man who lived by lying ended up making a career out of telling the truth. Frank Abagnale's story proves that double lives aren't always about darkness and murder. Sometimes they're about identity, loneliness, and the desperate need to become someone else, even if that someone isn't real. Not all double lives are about crime or thrill-seeking. Some are about secrets that eat away silently, hidden beneath layers of trust and love. Take Anna Sorokin, for example, a woman who managed to convince New York's elite that she was a wealthy heiress named Anna Delvey. To the public eye, Anna was glamorous, sophisticated, and untouchable. She attended exclusive parties, stayed in luxury hotels, and dined at the finest restaurants. People assumed she came came from immense wealth, and many even invested in her supposed business ventures. But in reality, Anna was living off deception. She had no fortune, no family backing, and no real assets. Every lavish lifestyle she led was borrowed, stolen, or outright faked. What made her double life so mesmerizing wasn't just her lies, it was her ability to perform them flawlessly. She carried herself with confidence that made people want to believe her. High-profile bankers, hotel managers, and even acquaintances trusted her blindly, offering loans, credit, and opportunities without a second thought. She built a life that seemed impossible, yet it was entirely constructed from audacity and manipulation. The deception lasted for years. Anna traveled between penthouses, parties, and meetings, all while her true financial reality was crumbling beneath her feet. Eventually, the law caught up, and she was exposed. But for a long time, she existed in two worlds at once, one imagined, one real, and those around her had no idea that the glamorous heiress they admired was nothing more than a masterful illusion. Her story shows a different shade of double life, one built not on killing or fraud in the conventional sense, but on identity, ambition, and the desperate human desire to be seen as more than you are. Some double lives are fueled by dark impulses, others by vanity, and others by survival. But in every case, the core is the same. The people around you don't truly know the person you are until the walls crumble. Anna Sorokin, Dennis Rader, Frank Abagnale, each of them teaches a terrifying lesson that a person's exterior can be a perfect mask, hiding a reality so different it could shock the world. Not all double lives are committed to crime or fame. Some unfold quietly in the shadows of everyday relationships, where the stakes feel smaller but the betrayals hit just as hard. Consider couples where one partner hides an entirely different identity, a life built on secrets, lies, or forbidden activities, while maintaining the appearance of normalcy. One chilling example is Robert Durst, a man who seemed like a wealthy real estate heir, a husband, and a devoted father. To the outside world, Robert lived a life of privilege and success, but behind closed doors, he was a suspect in multiple mysterious disappearances, including the death of his own wife. He moved across states, changed identities, and maintained a carefully constructed persona while evading authorities for decades. His double life wasn't glamorous like Anna Sorokin's or cunning like Frank Abagnale's. It was dark, obsessive, and deadly. Even in less extreme cases, ordinary people create double lives to hide addictions, debts, or affairs. A coworker might live a quiet, mundane existence at home, yet at night they gamble away thousands in online casinos. A seemingly devoted parent could secretly be leading an entirely different social circle connected to people their family would never approve of. These hidden worlds aren't always illegal, but they are just as real and just as capable of upending the lives of those who trust them. Psychologists call this compartmentalization, the ability to separate different aspects of your life so they don't overlap. It's a skill that some people use for survival, others for manipulation, but the consequence is the same, a fracture in reality. People living double lives often describe a strange sense of living in parallel worlds. They constantly monitor their own behavior, ensuring that one identity never leaks into the other. It's exhausting, dangerous, and sometimes catastrophic. The most frightening part is how easily these double lives can go unnoticed. Humans are natural believers. We see what we want to see. A smile, a handshake, a routine. They are enough to convince us that someone is trustworthy, and in that trust lies the power of a double life, the ability to hide entire truths in plain sight. Some double lives collapse spectacularly, like a criminal getting caught or a scandal going public. Others quietly linger, leaving families, friends, and colleagues in confusion and disbelief, often for years. The lesson is clear. Everyone has a story, but not every story is what it seems. Double lives aren't just a modern phenomenon. History's full of people who led secret lives, often for decades, hiding entire identities from the world while continuing their public roles. Take J. Edgar Hoover, the longtime director of the FBI. He was the face of American law enforcement for nearly half a century, a symbol of authority, patriotism, and moral uprightness. But behind the power suits and stern speeches, Hoover's personal life was shrouded in secrecy, including relationships and private behaviors that were radically different from the persona he projected. His ability to maintain this dual existence allowed him to control and manipulate the world around him, even shaping public perception of justice itself. Then there's Agatha Christie, the famed mystery writer, who once disappeared for 11 days. During that time, no one knew where she had gone, and newspapers speculated wildly. Some believed she had been kidnapped, others that she had taken her own life. In reality, the truth was far stranger. Christy had deliberately erased herself from the world, stepping into a second life, even if temporarily, to escape pressures and personal turmoil. Her disappearance remains one of the most fascinating examples of a temporary double life, a reminder that the human mind sometimes craves an alternate reality as deeply as it craves survival. Even ordinary people can live double lives in ways that are shocking yet relatable. Consider someone who works tirelessly in a high-profile career, earning respect and accolades, but secretly struggles with personal demons, addictions, compulsions, or hidden relationships. To their colleagues, they are professional, reliable, and admirable. To themselves, they're juggling an invisible world full of tension, fear, and guilt. The more perfect their public persona, the deeper the shadow of their hidden life can become. The psychology behind living a double life is complex. Some do it out of necessity, protecting themselves or their loved ones. Others do it out of thrill, manipulation, or obsession. But the common thread is the emotional toll. Constantly monitoring your own behavior, lying to everyone around you, and maintaining multiple personas creates an invisible cage. For many, the collapse of a double life is both devastating and inevitable, because the truth has a way of breaking through even the most carefully constructed facades. Stories of Dennis Rader, Frank Abagnale, Anna Sorokin, Robert Durst, and countless others show one chilling truth. Appearances can be deceiving. People can be entirely different from what they seem, hiding entire worlds behind a smile, a handshake, or a polite conversation. And sometimes, the most ordinary person you meet might be living a life you could never imagine. Living a double life is not without cost. The longer someone maintains a secret identity, the higher the risk of everything collapsing at once. For some, the consequences are legal: arrests, trials, and prison. For others, the damage is personal: broken relationships, lost trust, and lifelong guilt. In almost every case, the fallout is catastrophic for both the person living the double life and those around them. Take the families of serial killers like Dennis Rader. His children grew up in a home where the father they loved and trusted was in reality a monster. The emotional trauma lasts a lifetime. Friends, neighbors, and coworkers often experience a mix of disbelief and horror, realizing they were close to someone capable of unimaginable acts and yet had no warning. Even casual acquaintances can feel shaken, questioning every interaction they ever had. In cases like Frank Abagnale, the consequences are different but still profound. Victims of his check fraud lost money and trust, yet some, surprisingly, found admiration in the audacity and intelligence it took to maintain such a double life. A reminder that consequences are rarely simple or uniform. Even when no law is broken, the erosion of trust is powerful. Relationships fracture, reputations are ruined, and the illusion of safety disappears forever. For those living hidden personal lives, secret addictions, affairs, or alternate identities, the psychological cost is immense. Anxiety, paranoia, and depression are common. The constant effort to maintain appearances creates a mental strain that can be unbearable. And when the truth eventually comes out, as it often does, the shockwaves extend far beyond the person who lied. Loved ones may feel betrayed, coworkers may feel deceived, and even society can be forced to confront uncomfortable realities. Yet, despite all this, the fascination with double lives endures. We are drawn to these stories because they reveal something fundamental about human nature: the gap between appearance and reality, between who we are and who we want the world to believe we are. Double lives remind us that people are far more complex than they seem, capable of extraordinary charm and horrifying deceit. In the end, double lives teach a stark lesson. Trust is fragile, reality is layered, and the person sitting next to you might be living a world you could never imagine. Whether out of ambition, survival, or obsession, these hidden lives exist all around us, waiting for the day the mask slips and the truth finally emerges. And when it does, it is often more shocking than anyone could anticipate it.